Did you know there's a gun that didn't just fire bullets, but also had a hand in writing one of the most complex scripts in human history? That might sound like an exaggeration, but I assure you it's not. History is often more interwoven and unexpected than we can imagine. Stay with me as I unravel the mind-blowing story of a firearm that transcended its function to shape not only culture, but even the very way people wrote their stories and ideas onto the pages of time. Let's take a journey back to South Asia, a tapestry of rich heritage, incredible intellectual pursuits, and also, like other parts of the world, its fair share of conquests and military strategies. Enter a period when colonization was running rampant, and imperial forces brought not just their politics, but their weapons to the farthest corners of the earth. At the heart of this story lies a uniquely deadly, yet surprisingly influential gun. The Brown Bess musket, wielded not only in Britain's colonial conquests, but also in the South Asian region. You've probably heard of firearms that defeated armies, but ever heard of one steering the trajectory of how people write? Here's where our story takes an unexpected turn. During the height of British expansion in South Asia in the 18th and 19th centuries, the Brown Bess wasn't merely a tool of war, it became a symbol, a focal point around which both conflict and collaboration revolved. Now, you're probably wondering, how does this have anything to do with writing history, literally, the act of putting pen, or stylus, to paper? Let me explain. As British troops introduced the Brown Bess across South Asia, resistance quickly arose from the native civilizations, determined to preserve their autonomy and heritage. Alongside military opposition, there was an intellectual rebellion too. You see, language, philosophy, and literature were powerful tools. And in resisting foreign dominance, native scholars wanted to ensure their writings couldn't just be forgotten or ignored. They needed a lasting script, one that aligned traditional values with modernization. And here's how this connects. At the same time, the Brown Bess was wreaking havoc in battlefields across the region. The Devanagari script, used for writing ancient and literary Hindi and Sanskrit, was undergoing a revolution of its own. Scholars realized that for the sake of preserving their culture's narratives against obliteration by foreign influence, they had to make the script accessible, modern, and standardized. In an ironic twist, the relentless force of a foreign firearm heavily catalyzed the urgent need for codifying Devanagari. So why the urgency, you might ask? British officers and administrators began pushing for the use of Roman characters and English, not just socially, but in legal and institutional settings. The Brown Bess served as a symbol of their enforcement, both militarily and in every other aspect of governance. This threat, wielded quite literally in hand, made cultural scholars rapidly develop agreed-upon rules for writing in Devanagari. There are records showing the intensification of literary societies and meetings during this time, not only to combat colonial influence through battle, but through the written word, making sure future generations had a script to remember South Asia's original stories. Imagine it, the pen versus the sword, but in this instance, the sword, well, musket, sparked the fire under the pen. You might think the story ends there. That native ingenuity came out on top and all flourished. But the legacy of the Brown Bess musket's influence on language goes even deeper. It wasn't just Devanagari. Other reform movements sprang up, inspired by the same tensions, to enshrine and modernize scripts like Bengali or Tamil. Every scholar, every essay, and written work acted as a form of peaceful rebellion, creating a written framework so lasting that we still learn and read from it today. Historical accounts explicitly tie the urgency of biblical translations into local languages too, with the Devanagari script gaining vantage ground as an instrument to rival colonization's tools. What's fascinating here is not just the cultural preservation amid trauma, but the unintended consequences of the firearm. When soldiers pointed a Brown Bess at locals, their muscle as imperialists became clear, but so too did the necessity of wielding a different form of power: knowledge. If the gun was used to take lands, then the pen would be used to reclaim identities. And here's where it goes deeper still. Moving forward in history, the modernization of Indian and South Asian scripts influenced how the educational system evolved not just in that region, but worldwide. As British-controlled printers started pressing more documents, the irony was, after the initial domination phase, native scholars started contributing alongside administrators, cleverly inserting ideas, philosophies, nuanced modifications into works. In Devanagari, sometimes overtly defying orders, sometimes embedding storytelling subtleties that colonists couldn't even comprehend. Today, the Devanagari script serves as a backbone to over 120 languages. Yes, over 120, ranging from Hindi to Marathi and even Nepalese. It's profoundly intricate yet intuitive, a script that's endured the test of time since those 19th century crossroads. And crazy enough, the gun that indirectly bolstered its revival and shaping, still a crucial relic for museums and history textbooks detailing imperial expansions. But now, alongside firearms, rests the victorious script in those very institutions, the written cultural legacy of the once oppressed flourishing beside its opposer. Isn't that a story for the ages? Can you believe this? The Brown Bess, a musket renowned for shaping the battlefields of imperial history, ultimately bears a legacy in preserving scripts of literature and identity. Who could have seen that coming? Almost poetic, isn't it? A weapon destroying frontiers gave rise to a cultural treasure enduring centuries, a triumph of words over warfare. Reflect on this tale next time you see the sweeping curve of a letter or the gentle accent of a script symbol. And remember that the simplest firearms often leave the most profound, unexpected marks, not on battlefields, but in the frameworks of our culture. Until next time.